What's going on, guys? My name is DJ McCullum. Some of you may know me as Derek, which is my first name. But I'm here to bring you something I've been working on. And, I won't fully share it yet, but I figured I'd go ahead and kind of release this to give those of you that will see the episodes a better understanding of me and what it is that I'm doing. Um, so, for over 17 years, I've been working in the music industry, some full time, some part time. So it has been an on and off again thing, especially since COVID, as I'm sure many of the industry know how that goes. But, um, when I got in the music industry, I was living in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Um, I was working at a Hannaford Brothers, and I remember coming home from the bar one night, and I I was feeling pretty nice, go to my buddy's house, and his mutual friend is pacing back and forth, Joseph, and I walk in, and I'm feeling pretty nice. So he asked me, does a turn and comes back. He's like, you know what, fuck it, you're intelligent enough to be my manager, and I'm like, well, what's that? Because pretty twisted. So over the next couple of days, I get him a few bookings. For this production group that he's working under, the Bostonado, which means to Spanish to beat with a stick, because it was live electronica with original voice samples from like Madonna, Seal, etc., and it was played with a live didgeridoo. And I mean, it's phenomenal music, and what they were doing, but Joseph wanted me to meet someone and kind of more or less pick her brain and be able to apply it to Bostonado. Well, I ended up meeting her. I remember I was wearing an old navy denim button-up shirt, some Dockers, and like a Van Heusen tie that I just kind of threw together in my early 20s. And I meet this woman, and she's like, "You seem like a bright kid. My time's five, but I'll give it an hour." And I'm like, "Oh, thank you so much." And that hour ended up turning into 5.5. By the end of it, she gave me a data entry project with a check for $250 up front. Um, Upon completion, I would get another check for 250, and then she gave me a week deadline. So I'm like, okay, cool, thank you so much. And so I ended up completing it for her in 3 days. She was so impressed that she offered me a job. I had no idea who this lady was, but she just paid me $500 in 3 days. So like, okay, this is probably going to be lucrative. So, and I ended up going to work for her, and her name is Deborah Erickson. She has been in the music industry for a very long time. Um, so many, like all of you, pretty much know her work. Um, which you can always check out at least some of the more recent stuff on oracleentertainment.com. Um, but she was the label manager for Subliminal Records for over a year and a half before Eric Murillo, aka Real to Real, released "I Like to Move It." So as she's got some tenure in the industry, and I essentially learned the industry from her. And and I started out as her executive assistant, just helping her in anything and everything she needed. Um, you know, and administratively and everything else, and just networking with the various people in the industry. And so that's more or less how I got my start. And then over the years, our relationship, it strengthened and deepened, and at the same time, it progressed. And so eventually, I took on the role of national DJ promoter. And essentially, what I did there was I would network, like we would get hired to do the remix A&R for new artists that labels were trying to break into the scene. And so we would do remix A&R, which is where we would get your David Guettas, your Tiesto, Calvin Harris, and so forth to do an official dance remix of this track. We would then handle the marketing promotional campaigns behind those remix packages, and my job was essentially servicing them to nightclubbers and DJs, mix show DJs in specific major markets all over the U.S. And then they would essentially give me back feedback. We would give it back to the label, and that's how they would really know, how it was trending. So, I have a wealth of knowledge and experience in the industry. And, after COVID, like so many others, I had to find a new way to be able to Like I actually just I had to stop. Like the industry stopped. It was just kind of flipped upside down on its head, and and I was like, what am I going to do? So I actually went back to school to finish my degree. At Full Sail. So I did graduate um, with my degree in music business, and ever since I've really been looking for a way to be able to give back. Um, because I do love music in this industry so much, and it has already changed a lot, but in many ways there are so many resources out there for your aspiring artists. Because I mean, at one point I thought about maybe doing a consulting company, and that didn't really quite fit. Um, you know, at least not where I live, and so at least from a financial standpoint, because not everybody has 10K for market promo of a solid record. Some people have a lot less, so it's really hard to kind of you got to be flexible with that. So I was like, all right, well, what can I do? So I am working on something that I'm excited to share with you guys. I can't wait to share it. It will be coming soon, but I just at least wanted to give a quick intro video for those of you out there that don't know who I am, don't know my experience. Maybe we've known each other for years, and maybe you didn't know. And it's okay. I didn't. It's not something I really put out there because it's not relevant to every conversation. Um, but I'm a firm believer in you know whatever your dreams are, go after them. Fuck anybody that tells you that you can't achieve something. I mean, I would rather know that I would rather say why not than what if in life. I would rather give it my all, knowing that I gave it everything I got, than to sit back in a few years and just wonder what if. So if you have a goal, a dream, um, you know, don't be afraid to chase it. I mean, go after it. I mean, I've been doing it for 17 years, and it's never felt like I'm working. And it's just it's amazing when you get to do what you love, and to be able to be in a position to give back and share with others. Like, I'm super stoked. Can't wait for you guys to see it. So please check in. Um, and I wish you all the best.